Welcome to a world of science gone awry. What if a failed experiment resulted in the creation of an entirely new and unusual world? A scientist attempted to create a cloning machine called the duplicator array, but unfortunately it produced imperfect clones. Even a simple 4-petal green leaf would turn into a bizarre 5-petal red leaf. And what would happen if this machine were used on Superman? Well, it actually happened. The results was a grotesque, lifeless being with superpowers known as Bizarro. Bizarro caused chaos on Earth and constantly clashed with the hero, but always suffered defeat. Later, the duplicator array was used on Lois Lane, resulting in a bizarre version of herself, and together, they became the first residents of the strange new world called Bizarro World. But what is Bizarro World, actually? Bizarro and Lois, feeling dejected after their failures on Earth, decided to leave the planet. Thanks to Bizarro's Superman-like abilities and Lois's lifeless form, they were immune to the harshness of space. So, what happened to them next? Buckle up and prepare to enter a world where logic and reason are thrown out the window and the impossible becomes possible on a planet where everything is just a little bit bizarro. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What is Bizarro World? How was it created? From an ancient abandoned city to a new world of clones, the fascinating creation of Bizarro World. After leaving Earth, Bizarro and Bizarro Lois Lane discovered an ancient abandoned metropolis in a distant solar system. It is the ideal location for the couple to create their new home, but as time passed, they got lonely and realized they needed company. Fortunately, the duplicated brain of Superman has enough superintelligence that enabled Bizarro to recreate the duplicator machine, now known as the imitator machine, which could make perfect copies of these imperfect beings. He used it to create hundreds of Bizarro Lois Lanes for his companion. However, things got complicated when each copy wanted a piece of the original Bizarro. To solve the problem, Lois Lane created her own army of Bizarros, so each of her copies could have their own. The real Bizarro became the leader of his tribe, and together they built the bizarre and chaotic Bizarro World. They called this planet Hitare, opposite of Earth. A bizarre gift. Superman was on a mission to save Earth from an incoming asteroid when he stumbled upon a strange version of Metropolis. This twisted Metropolis was a place where everything was imperfect, misspelled, and crooked. Even the food they served in the deli was served in reverse order, starting with dessert and ending with soup. The currency used for exchange was coal, while diamonds had no real value. Upon investigating, Superman realized this world was none other than the Bizarro World, and everything was the exact opposite of what it should be. Determined to fix things, he began fixing some of the houses. Looking at the beautiful house, the owners were extremely annoyed. This is when the Man of Steel realized that he had committed the biggest crime in the Bizarro World. He was promptly thrown in jail and sentenced to death. Feeling hopeless, Superman was about to be executed when he came up with a brilliant idea. He built a satellite and a device that reflected the image of Bizarro World's planet, Hitare, which was a perfect spheroid just like Earth. This revelation shocked the citizens and the judge, as they couldn't comprehend that their planet was perfect spheroid even in their imperfect world. Superman was acquitted of his charges, as the Bizarrians realized they couldn't punish someone for being imperfect when they had a perfect planet. As he left, Superman used his super strength to transform the Bizarro World into a square world, leaving a parting gift for its citizen. And that's how the story of the cuboid Bizarro World came to be. Too bizarre for Bizarro. Superman was informed that his adoptive father, Jonathan Kent, had been abducted by a cold and devastating creature who resembled Superman himself. The creature had taken Jonathan to a distant planet near a blue sun. Superman recognized the creature as Bizarro, but was unaware of his intentions behind the kidnapping. He immediately rushed to his Fortress of Solitude to find answers and receive the coordinates of the closest blue sun to Earth. However, he was warned that the blue sun might affect his powers. It may either enhance his powers or give him some new super strength. Upon reaching the Bizarro World, he was shocked to see that although it was the same old cube-shaped planet now in proximity to the blue sun, it looked even deadlier and more horrifying than before. After the crisis on Infinite Earth, which was an event that changed many realities, the Bizarro World became a strange and unlivable planet that Bizarro inhabited. Because the planet had a blue sun, it altered his powers and gave him Bizarro vision. Using this power in his imagination, he populated the inhabitable place with beings similar to Earth's, except all were the bizarre version. However, this yielded him no fruit, as the Bizarrians hated Bizarro so much that they wanted to kill him. Tired of explaining to them and failing to win their trust, Bizarro now wanted to end the Bizarro World. While Bizarro tried to seek help from Jonathan Kent to achieve his goal, Superman also developed Superman's vision under the impact of the blue sun. He accidentally used his Superman vision on his father, altering his genes and hence giving him superpowers like Superman. Meanwhile, Bizarro Lex Luthor became the president of Bizarro World and freed all the criminals from the prison Arkham amusement park, including the Joker, to kill Bizarro because he believed no criminal was bigger than Bizarro. To fight all these enemies, Bizarro called in the Bizarro Justice League, where the Flash was fat and couldn't run. Wonder Woman used her lasso of lies. The Yellow Lantern and others failed to provide any significant help to Bizarro. There wasn't any hope for Bizarro until Jonathan devised a plan. Before the Bizarrian citizens, Superman started repairing their imperfect world, including the Daily Planet building. The Bizarrians were ravaged and angry and confused by the actions of Superman, and just then flew in Bizarro and beat the crap out of Superman for beautifying his city. Bizarrians were amazed by this sight, and Bizarro praised for his superheroic activity. On the other hand, Lex Luthor was once again ignored. Bizarro was now accepted amongst his fellow Bizarrians, and Lois Lane fell in love with him. Meanwhile, Superman and Jonathan returned to their own world, happy with the thought that even though the Bizarro world was imperfect, they deserved to be saved. That's how Superman and his superfather saved the day. Bizarro World residents, their points of interest, and their customs. Bizarros are a fascinating and unique species in the DC Comics universe, possessing a physiology that is vastly different from that of humans. Their skin is gray and mottled, resembling crumbled chalk or ash, and their limbs and facial features are often misshapen and disproportionate. Most Bizarros are patterned to resemble a specific humanoid analog, with some possessing more generic traits. For example, Bizarro Superman possesses strength, endurance, speed, and agility, far exceeding any of the other Bizarrian. However, Bizarros are developmentally challenged, unable to process thoughts or actions that would be common to ordinary reasoning. They behave in opposition to logic or common sense, both culturally and linguistically. Everything they say is an antonym to their true intent, with I replaced by me and hello used as farewell instead of a greeting. Bizarros only use the first person conjunction for any verb, resulting in sentences like, "This is great." Their behavior is often comical, as they express affection through punching or giving dead roses as a sign of love. Bizarro females do not use swimwear for swimming. They swim in evening gowns, and the Wild West's slowest gun is considered a blockbuster. They reward children for being pesky and making circus clowns cry. Bizarros have a unique perception of reality, where junk is valuable, bowling strikes mean losing, and the smallest mountain in the world is Mount Everest. They plant weeds instead of flowers, eat dinner upon awakening, and brush their teeth with shoe polish while polish their shoes with toothpaste. They consider a crisscross road a shortcut and launch rockets into the ground. While this backwards dialect is common to all Bizarros, it's only sometimes consistent from one Bizarro to the next, and in some cases not even consistent with the same Bizarro. For instance, garbage collectors bring garbage to homes, and scientists launch rockets into the ground. This unpredictability is what makes Bizarros such an intriguing species, as they embody the antithesis of everything we consider normal. While this is an ideal concept in most of the versions, it's typically different in some versions. Bizarro World and Superman and Lois Lane TV. In the second season of Superman and Lois Lane, a version of Bizarro World is introduced. Here, while there is a planet as a cuboid, it revolves around a red-shaped cuboid sun. This sun is supposed to impact both Superman and Bizarro Superman differently. While this alternate reality is located in a pocket dimension which can be accessed from a portal from Smallville's Shuster Mines, this mine supposedly transports the individual from Earth Prime onto the Bizarro Earth. Everything's good on both the planets until Ally Alliston, who inherited a magical pendant from her ancestors, finds out about this alternate reality, and she wants to merge with the ally Alston on the Bizarro World and become immensely powerful, rule both the world. She is later seen building an army which include Kal-El's son and other family members as well. Kal-El, or Bizarro Superman, aware of Ally's intention, is on a mission to warn the Superman of Earth of what's coming, and eventually dies on this mission. In the mission titled Bizarros in a Bizarro World, we see that Bizarro, or Kal-El, is a super-powered celebrity, suffers from a kryptonite addiction that gives him a chalky appearance and alters his psyche. This has caused him to alienate his family and him falling apart from them. In this world, as Jonathan Kent develops powers and takes on the name John L, joins hands with Ali, the cult leader, not his father. Meanwhile, Kal-El's half-brother, Tal-Ro, is a handsome bachelor who gets along well with his sibling. Lana Lang is a waitress who gained superpowers after marrying Tal-Ro. Lana Lang, who is part of the cult, is now joined by her husband and John L. This means Bizarro must fight his family to save the two worlds. Ally Alston ascends to power by merging with her doppelganger on Earth. Alston intends to merge the two planets and rule over a superior planet that combines the best of both worlds. While the Man of Steel has lost his powers and Bizarro is declared dead, it's difficult to predict the future of the two worlds. Although the storyline is pretty exciting, they have also worked on the execution of Bizarro World. This show provides an intriguing peek into the customs and way of life of the people who inhabit this alternate reality, and how they're different from Earth. One notable aspect of their culture is their distinctive fashion sense. The inhabitants of the Bizarro World typically wear black clothing and dark makeup, which creates a gothic-like ambience throughout their city. Fortress of Solitude is turned into a museum-like structure depicting the life of Kal-El with the hologram figure of his mother, Laura Lorvan. In this world, Kal-El doesn't have a secret identity to hide. In fact, he's a branding talk shows and public appearances for his superhero activities. Another distinguishing feature of the Bizarro World is their preference for disorganized and cluttered spaces and their use of backwards writing. This is a complete reversal of how we read and write on Earth. In addition, they wear black dresses to weddings, which is the opposite of what we usually see in traditional marriages. The Schuster mines on Earth are full of X-kryptonite, whereas the same place in Bizarro World is full of green kryptonite. Lastly, Superman's suit in the Bizarro World has a mirrored S symbol, which underscores the idea that everything in this reality is an inversion of what we are used to on Earth. All of these details work together to create a fascinating alternate reality that is entirely different on its own. Overall, the Bizarro World serves as a thought-provoking example of how a subtle shift in the way we think and act can create an entirely different world. Frightening versions of Bizarro in animation, comic, and game. Bizarro has appeared in various forms across animation, comics, and game, each with its own unique and intriguing version of Bizarro World. In Super Friends, the animated Justice League faced off against a Bizarro World in the 80s. At the same time, Superman the animated series saw Superman allowing Bizarro to live on an uninhabitable planet without causing harm to others. Teen Titans Go also featured a Bizarro World, which is shown to be home of the Bizarro Titans, led by Nibor, who is a lazy lad, and featuring Grobiek, an almost human robot, Nevar, a smiling contrast to Raven, Boy Beast, an animal who could transform into any human boy, and Arifrats, an ugliest of all. In the movie LEGO DC Comics Superheroes Justice League vs. Bizarro League, Bizarro is sent to his world to keep him out of trouble. But when the planet is invaded, he ends up stealing a duplicating ray and creating Bizarro version of various superheroes from Justice League, which were named Batzarro, Bizarra, Grizarro, Sizarro, adversely affecting Wonder Woman, Guy Gardner's Power Ring, and Cyborg. LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, this video game also features Bizarro World as a map, where the Bizarro Justice League must defend the world from Darkseid. In All-Star Superman issues 7 and 8, Superman encounters the strange and dangerous world of Hitre, a sentient cubic planet that launches an attack on Earth. The inhabitants on Earth fight back, but they soon discover that the only way to defeat Hitre duplicates is through the use of steroids. As Superman battles Hitre, he learns that it's the manifestation of a planet-eating entity and must rely on his dwindling powers to save the day. In this world, Superman meets a host of bizarre and twisted versions of heroes, including Green Lantern, Flash, Batman, and Wonder Woman, all having different or rather opposite stories of that of their counterparts. While Wonder Woman is fat and ugly, Flash is massively slow, and so on. But the most intriguing counter is with Bizarro himself, or rather his imperfect clone, Zibaro, who possesses no powers but is rational and human. The backdrop for this strange world is a destroyed city. As the story comes to a close, the planet vanishes back into the newly discovered dimension of the Underverse, leaving Superman to wonder what other strange worlds and creatures he may encounter in the future. Hitre, in Grant Morrison's Multiversity series, gets its own alternate universe and becomes known as Earth 29, a place where everything is not as it seems. The planet is in its cubic shape, but now it possesses a mysterious ring. The other planets in this universe are equally bizarre, with strange cuboid shapes that defy explanation. Nard is a world of pure science, while Ragnat is a strange place where flightless Bizarro Manhawk rules the skies. But the most unusual of all beings, called Cimmerian snitches, who are led by the enigmatic Martian Manhunter. In this strange and twisted world, anything can happen, and nothing is quite what it seems. In conclusion, Bizarro World is a fascinating and bizarre concept that originated from the comic book world. It's a world opposite of Earth, to where logic and reason are flipped and the impossible becomes possible. The world of Bizarro has been portrayed in various forms, from a planet ruled by imperfect clones to a square-shaped world where imperfection is celebrated. Man of Steel and Bizarro have often found themselves in conflict with each other, but they also have shared companionship whenever it was needed. The stories of Bizarro World offer a unique perspective on what it means to be perfect and imperfect, and how these qualities are perceived in different worlds. It is a world that challenges our notions of what's normal and what's strange, and it continues to captivate audiences with its oddities and absurdities. And if you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.